our honor in welcoming Ashwini Vaishnaw, the Minister of Railways, Information and Broadcasting, Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, right here on stage, as today we will be discussing the next chapter of India's growth story, and it is only fitting that we hear and from directly from the leader himself, who has been actively architecting that very future. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together in welcoming the Union Minister, Ashwini Vaishnaw. Good morning to you, Mr. Vaishnaw.
Thank you, sir. We now request you to kindly address the gathering, sir.
And before that, I'm requesting Mr. Rohit Gopakumar to also come up on stage to felicitate the minister. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir. Kindly address the gathering now.
There are two sessions which are very difficult. One is the lunch session, post-lunch, and second is the first session in the morning. You guys had some coffee? All righty. Friends, I want to cover 4 items today. First is about the AI Summit. Second is about semiconductors. Third is about electronics manufacturing. And fourth is about railways. I'll begin with the AI Summit. As you all know, after UK, South Korea, France, India is now holding the AI Summit, hosting the AI Summit, and this is going to be the biggest AI Summit ever held in the world. Already, all the industry leaders and heads of states, more than 20 heads of states and heads of government, have already confirmed. More than 100 plus global leaders are visiting us, joining this summit. And the summit's focus will be on impact of AI. As we all know, AI is basically bringing the 5th industrial revolution. And this industrial revolution is going to be much bigger than the past industrial revolutions, past changes in technology, past major transformations which have happened in the past. And the pace of transformation is also going to be very fast. So we must get prepared for this change. We must prepare our industries for this change. We must prepare our students for this. We must prepare our society for this. And that is why we are working on all the 5 layers of the AI stack. Our focus, our strength has conventionally been in providing the IT services. Now, we have to now convert this strength into providing AI-based services. Our IT industry, over the last 1.5 to 2 years, has meticulously worked on this changing business model. They have invested in their reskilling their workforce and creating new tools by which they can now provide AI services. So the way it will work, as I understand from the IT industry, is basically the organizations who are looking for AI-based services, they need people who understand AI, who understand the organization. So that gap between understanding technology and understanding the organization is going to be filled by our IT industry. So I just wanted to share with you how the industry is preparing itself for this huge new wave of innovation, that huge new transformative wave which is coming. The second layer is the model layer, and in the AI Summit, we'll be launching our bouquet of sovereign models. if you would have followed some of these models which have been tested and the test results, on so many parameters, the models are better than OpenAI and Gemini Pro and DeepSeek on so many different parameters. And that's giving us the confidence that we can develop models on very frugal, innovative setups, resources with very few resources. And those models, because of the innovation which has been there in those models, they can actually they can be world-beating models. Mostly during the AI Summit, our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji will be launching some of those models. The chip layer is where we have made very good progress, and as we know, there is no AI without semiconductors. Our teams today have done phenomenally well on semiconductor journey. We have had very good results. Our design efforts have today brought us to a totally new level, and many of these startups and many teams which are working on creating new solutions will bear fruits in the coming couple of years. We should be in a very different situation from what we are today. On the infra layer, already we have 90 billion US dollars worth investment committed, and mostly in the coming months, this investment level is likely to go above $200 billion. From everything that we know from the industry, this investment will practically go beyond $200 billion. I invite all of you to join the AI Summit, be a part of this journey, contribute to it, and we believe that there will be three major takeaways from this AI Summit. First is, how do we make sure that our people, our society, our students, our industries, they get the benefit of this new technology. AI diffusion will bring the return on investment which is needed for long-term growth of the industry, for bringing the productivity. Those productivity gains, those ROI gains will come from diffusion. And that's why, as we all know, AI models are open source models are today available in hundreds of thousands. How do we use the models? How do we create those solutions which are real life solutions which bring a change in the society, bring a change in the economy, bring a change in the industry? So impact is going to be the big focus, and as we all know, impact is the theme of the summit. Second is about sovereign models, and how do we make sure that our data is protected? How do we make sure that our biggest wealth is clearly protected? And how do we make sure that our sovereign models are getting the right platform which they deserve? Third is about AI governance. We all know the harms which may come from, especially from the generative part of AI. Industrial part is very different from the generative part. So how do we make sure that AI governance is taken forward more in a consensual manner rather than a mandating kind of manner? So we are going to have dialogue with most of the countries who are all facing common challenges. So this will be majorly the part of AI Summit. I'll switch over to semiconductors. In the last few years, our progress in semiconductors is noteworthy. I recall going to Davos way back in 22. When we used to talk about semiconductors, people used to really put those question marks at us. Things changed by 24, things really changed. Our mission was announced on 1st Jan 22, semiconductor mission. 23 was more of learning, trying to get onto the learning curve. And 24 is when things started changing. And I want to share with you, in this year's Davos, when we did the semiconductor roundtable with industry leaders, absolutely there was no question mark. People said that whatever Mr. Minister India wants to do, we are there to support India's journey. And each and every participant of the semiconductor industry now wants to be part of the India's semiconductor journey. That's a huge change in the way the world perceives us. And that's that big change which our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has brought in our economy, in our country, in our industry. On the global stage, today India is respected as a country which has huge potential, which is contributing to the world and not just following but creating those new benchmarks. Today, practically every large company of the world in the semiconductor industry, whether it is NVIDIA or AMD, whether it is Qualcomm or Broadcom, whether it is ARM or Marvell, they are all designing their most modern, most advanced chips here in India. And there are so many startups coming up. Last week I was with Qualcomm. I was surprised at the change which has happened, and they are also surprised because just a few years ago, when I requested Cristiano, the CEO of Qualcomm, that why don't you start looking at designing complete systems here in India? He took that challenge, he challenged the Indian team, and today those teams are designing complete solutions, not just doing the back office work, but designing complete solutions. And friends, the talent pipeline which we have created in 315 universities, it's such a major talent pipeline that I can tell you with very high level of certainty that in the coming years, at least majority of the semiconductor design in the entire world is going to be done out of India. We have trained more than, by now we have trained more than about 70,000 engineers in designing chips. I asked this question in the roundtable in Davos, how many universities are there where students can use the latest semiconductor design EDA tools from Cadence, Synopsys, Siemens, and they are able to design the chips, actually manufacture the chips, and validate whether the product has come out as they had envisaged. People could not count more than 20 universities in the entire world. We have 315 universities, way from faraway places, from Assam, from Jharkhand, from Odisha, from Kerala, from Tamil Nadu, from Jammu, where students are actually designing chips, and those chips are now manufactured in SCL Mohali and tested and validated. This is going to give a phenomenal advantage to our youth, to our students, to our young people. And that's going to create that huge wave of innovation which will keep on happening for the next multi-decade journey in semiconductors which we have taken up. Our next version of Semicon mission, Semicon 2.0, will have huge focus on design. We will be focusing on at least 50 deep techs to come from India. Whether they are large companies, whether they are startups, whether they are people who are working in the semiconductor industry globally, but they want to come back to India and create that new, the next Qualcomm, the next Broadcom, the next NVIDIA. I can say with confidence today that the next NVIDIA, the next Qualcomm will come out of India. That base is now set for us. Now that learning curve is already behind us, that entire ecosystem has got built, and that ecosystem will propel the next wave of growth in semiconductors. We are also now very clear on our path from 28 nanometers to 2 nanometers. And it's going to be a very measured journey. We are not doing anything in haste. We want to take every step after careful thought, after looking at all the pluses and minuses, after considering the preparedness of the entire industry. So we began with 28 nanometers because we wanted to make sure that the entire ecosystem first comes to India, and it's a very complex ecosystem. More than 250 gases and chemicals, very complex. Even 1 meter change in the pipeline which supplies the chemical or the gas to the final machine which does the fabrication, that can change the entire specs. Nanometer is so difficult to fathom. I was giving this example to somebody. If you look at the nail, imagine writing your own name on this nail. You can do that with a little bit of practice, right? Imagine writing the entire Ramayana on this nail, right? Imagine writing the entire Ramayana, the entire Mahabharata, the entire Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and all the Purans on this small little nail. That is what a nanometer level fabrication is. So it's really, really complex. It's very, very, very complex. It's at atomic level. It's that the entire plasma, it's basically plasma which does the etching. It's very, very complex. To get that complexity to work in India, we must take every step with a lot of careful thought. So that initial grunt work, that initial hard work, that initial work which is required to get the industry in India is now done. Very happy to share with you within next few weeks. Out of the 10 plants that we have approved, 10 semiconductor manufacturing units that we have approved as a part of the Semiconductor 1.0 mission, first one is going to start the commercial production in the coming few days. Our Honorable Prime Minister will be flagging off that first commercially produced semiconductor chip from the first plant very soon. Stay tuned for that. And that's going to be a big jump because since 1962, our country has been dreaming of this industry, and I don't want to get into a blame game, but recently the leader of opposition was questioning India's data strategy. I would like to ask him a few questions. Does he know that our entire IT industry is built on free flow of data? The entire world's data is brought to India to do the processing here and do the operations of the companies, global banks, global insurance giants, global retail, global logistics. That entire data comes to India, gets processed here, and does he know that that is the foundation of our IT industry? He is wanting to shut down every movement of data. Does he even understand that that will be kind of so detrimental for our IT industry, which is based on getting the data from the entire world? Does he understand that the data center scheme, which has been announced in our budget, is for getting the world's data to India and making sure that our industry provides those AI-based services to the entire world? Does he understand that the semiconductor program is the foundation of data-based economy and sovereign models is the foundation of having those AI-based services? I seriously think that he must change his view and must understand this in deep detail before making those comments which are not based on facts. Friends, I'll also come to the third point, which is electronics manufacturing. I'm sure you are aware that in the last 10 years, our electronics manufacturing has grown 6 times. It's growing at double-digit CAGR, and our electronics exports have grown 8 times in the last decade. 8 times growth in the last decade. The ecosystem of electronics manufacturing is now well established in our country. And this is where also the opposition and especially the leader of opposition was questioning whether we are a producer economy or we are only a service economy. I would like to emphasize that we are both a producer's economy and a services economy. Our electronics manufacturing is today, it has reached a level where now we are manufacturing not only the final product, but also the modules and the sub-modules, and now we have started manufacturing the components. Now there are a series of components where more than 50% of our demand is going to be met out of India within the coming 2 years. And there are so many components where we will become the global suppliers to the world, including our neighbors. That's the journey which has happened. I will request the opposition to take a look at that, understand that, see that journey which has happened, which could never happen in the first 6 decades of our independence. Among the exported goods, now electronics is among the top 3 exported goods already. And very soon, electronics will be among the top 2 exported goods out of India. This was unthinkable 10 years ago. This was unthinkable in the previous governments. But that change has actually happened, and the world is taking note of it. When the EU FTA was getting negotiated, one of the key things that the European Union wants from India is electronics products. They want electronics boards, they want electronics components, they want electronics modules, they want electronics exports to be done out of India for their defense industry, for their industrial activities, for their consumer electronics, for their practically every aspect of their life. They want the electronics industry to be exported out of India, electronics goods to be exported out of India. Because we are a trusted country, the world trusts us, and that trust has happened through a very meticulous foreign policy which our Prime Minister has implemented over the last 11 and a half, 12 years. In these years, India has now emerged as a trusted partner which believes in IP, which respects IP, which believes in solving problems through negotiations, solving problems through discussions, solving problems through multilateral institutions, and that is what is most important. Even in the case of India-US agreement, a large part of semiconductor manufacturing, where the world is today worried about the concentration which is happening, India will become the trusted partner for the entire world in the semiconductor and electronics value chain. Friends, with that, I'll come to railways, and very happy to share with you that our journey in designing and constructing the first bullet train project from Mumbai to Ahmedabad has made very good progress, and next year, 2027 itself, we'll be launching the first section, we'll be inaugurating the first section on this entire corridor between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. The most important part of this journey is that again in this very complex industry, our people, our engineers, our designers, they have really lived up to the challenge. Our industry has today come up that learning curve, and today we are practically fully self-sufficient in the entire high-speed train technology. It's a matter of pride for us because getting those complex technologies, understanding them, preparing our people to design those systems. Imagine the complexity of a vehicle which runs at 350 kilometers per hour. We know when we drive a car, when we move beyond 70, 80 and move into 100 kilometer per hour, everything changes, right? When it is beyond 120 kmph, the vibrations, the entire atmospheric pressure, the control of the wheel, everything changes. In case of railways, when a vehicle is driving, when a train is running at 350 kilometers per hour, the interaction between the wheel and the rail, the interaction between the overhead wire and the pantograph which collects the electricity, and the interaction between the train and the atmosphere, these are very, very, very complex. But that is now what our engineers have been able to understand, and they are now able to design those complex systems. So that's the journey which I've taken. Apart from constructing the first corridor, the journey in learning, moving up that learning curve, that has been very, very significant journey. And that's why our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, announced the 7 new bullet train corridors, which will connect large part of our country and totally transform the entire transportation industry. Imagine going from Chennai to Bangalore in 73 minutes only. 73 minutes. Practically, the two cities will become one city, right? It will be like you start at, do your morning office work, go to Bangalore, do your work and come back, have dinner with your family. Imagine between Mumbai and Ahmedabad, it will be just 1 hour and 57 minutes. 1 hour and 57 minutes, less than 2 hours, right? That 2 hour has become quite popular in the social media these days. So kids take so much fun at whatever we do. It's good. Our youth is very creative. Imagine between Bangalore and Hyderabad, just 2 hours. Same is the case between Mumbai to Varanasi and Varanasi to Patna and all the way to Siliguri. In Bengal, Siliguri is northern part of Bengal. And of course, these networks will further develop as we grow towards Viksit Bharat. Our goal for Viksit Bharat is about 7,000 kilometers of these high-speed trains. And as the projects have been announced, these projects comprise about 4,000 kilometers of high-speed trains. We have already moved immediately after the budget announcement was done. We have already moved, and we are going to standardize the entire system. We'll have common specifications for all the corridors. We will have Indian designs, Indian specs, where anybody in the world can come and participate in these. And we'll have large role for the industry to contribute to this journey, because this is where our industry has the potential to become exporters. And we have become exporters in our own right. Today, some of the most complex part of the train, which is the propulsion system, is today exported to Switzerland, to Germany, to Poland, to Italy, and to US. Those benchmarks are the new benchmarks that we are setting. So this is the journey, friends. In railways, we are also taking up about 52 reforms in the 52 weeks of 2026. We'll be announcing the first 2 reforms today afternoon, and we have already worked on 7 more reforms, and other reforms are now in the pipeline. These will bring a big change in every common citizen who travels in railways. And as we have always maintained, for us, the low-income families, the middle-income families, they are the most important customers in railways, and everything we do is for safety. We have been able to reduce incidents, safety accidents by about 90%. But that is not where we want to stay. We want to further reduce it and our challenge taken to the team, given to the team, all of us are working on it, is to make sure that we achieve the global benchmarks in the 2 to 3 years time frame on so many different parameters, so many different factors. Like last year, we became the second largest cargo carrying railway in the entire world, surpassing North America. So today, India and China are the biggest cargo carrying railways in the entire world at 1.6 billion tons cargo carried last year and also this year. So those are the benchmarks, friends. That is the journey. Thank you so much for inviting me to GBS. This is one of the most coveted sessions, and this is one of those summits which really set the benchmark for policy dialogue, for industry dialogue, for the way forward for the entire country. Thank you so much, ET. Thank you so much, GPS. Thank you.